Football Friday here on Birds 365. That means we bring in our guy, Paul Domowitch, who's got Andy Reid light shirt on today. Would Andy go with that color these days? I don't think he's ever putting green on again. Then again, I want to see Zach Ertz put green on again. So maybe Andy Reid will put green on again at some point. Damo, 49ers, Eagles on Sunday. How much good, bad blood is there between these two teams? Are the media members and the fans taking this to a new level? Why do I get the feeling that, oh, no, this is real? This is not media created. These two teams really don't. There's some guys on this, in both of these two teams, that don't like the opposition on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that NFC Championship game encounter last year really fostered some bad blood. I mean, the Niners are bitter because they're convinced they would have won that game if they had a quarterback. And who knows? Maybe that's true. I don't know, but yeah, it's unusual for it to linger this long. I'm sure we're going to see some chippy play on Sunday. Probably a few unsportsmanlike penalties. Should be a fun game though.
Yeah, game of the year for the third straight week. Everybody's game of the year. By the way, if it's a game of the year, you can only pick one for everybody out there, because there's going to be another game of the year next week in Dallas. So, especially if the Eagles are, well, God forbid they lose, then it's truly going to be the game of the year. But, that kind of stuff, the Deebo Samuel stuff, there's certain guys, Hassan Reddick, I think, has been at the forefront for the Eagles. AJ and Deebo are good friends, by the way, for people that don't know. I don't know. Fred Warner kind of downplayed it, said he wished there wasn't as much talk. I think it's a really small group. I don't think it's wide-ranging with all the trash talk. Now, we know Brandon from the coin toss, but he could be playing the Arizona Cardinals. It's the same way with Brad Graham. So, we'll see how it shakes out, but there'll probably be some chippiness. I'm more concerned about Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and all the playmakers. And one of the reasons I'm concerned, Damo, is you led your stat pack piece on JAKIBsports.com with the third down issues. And boy, man, the last two paragraphs got me, and I'm going to read them. Opposing quarterbacks have a 110.1 passer rating against the Eagles on third down this season. Last season, it was 69.3. The Eagles have given up 11 touchdown passes on third down. That's the most in the entire NFL. Last season, they gave up 7 all season. All season. How are they 10-1? This is the most important down in football.
Yeah.
How are they 10-1?
I mean, because their offense is so good. I mean, it's as good as it was last year, point wise. I honestly, John,
that's what I'm like. I can't explain it.
Yeah,
this never happens.
That's why if they don't get better on third down, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's Christmas, but
yeah,
we'll see how you can get to the Super Bowl, make it through the playoffs with a third down defense like this.
Yeah, and that the third and long, supposedly, I mean, that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to keep people in third and long situations. The last thing you want is third and manageable.
Yeah.
But they're the third worst in the league on 3rd and 9 or more.
Yeah.
Only the Broncos and Cardinals are worse than the Eagles in third and long situations. It's astonishing.
I mean, they beat Buffalo in overtime on Sunday. Buffalo converted 5 of 10 third downs of 9 yards or more, and they still lost. It's
right. So Damo, let's try and tighten the focus. We can't just lay it all on the slot cornerback, and they believe that they'll be better with Roby. They have to be better because the other two just were so blatantly overmatched. Is it that they're not getting the pressure that they got last year? Is it that Bradbury has had a bit of a drop-off? Now he jumped back up, played a better game, got a big interception against the Bills last week, but he's just not the same corner who's second team all pro last year. Is it the coverage of the linebackers where Kaiser White and Edwards just that much better? How do you have it precipitous a drop on third down from one year to the next?
You know, Jody, as with everything with football, it's never one thing. I think there's a few things going on. One is the pressure isn't the same as it was last year. As I mentioned in another part of my stat package, you know, they're not. I mean, beyond Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, you know, they don't have a lot of other edge rushers who are, you know, getting a lot of production. I mean, Brandon Graham's got 3 sacks, but he's not playing much. You know, you worry if Sweat and Reddick are playing too much and you know what they're going to be like when they get to the playoffs. I think there's a communication problem on the back end. You know, Kevin Byard was a terrific addition, but I mean, he's admitted to people that I know that, you know, they're not communicating well right now. He hopes it'll improve, but right now they don't. And it only takes a split second of hesitation back there in coverage. I mean, we've seen some of the coverage breakdowns and things that have happened. I think you can also point to some missed tackles. So it's a lot of different things. They're just not playing well on third down right now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you hope they can clean it up, and it probably starts this week because I do think, you know, San Francisco is a lot of things in this game. I look at it and say, well, you know, San Francisco should win this game, and then you kind of lean on the Eagles' ability to persevere and all intangible stuff. When you're if you're Sean Desai, Damo, where do you start with this offense?
Boy, you try to stop the run. You know, you don't let them get going early where the play action is a factor, or you're in big trouble. You try to prevent a lot of the, you know, the stuff that in the past has hurt them when they've played San Francisco, the jet sweeps, the end arounds, things like that, where they're over aggressive and get burned. And you got to put them in third and long and hope that this is the week you're better at it. But I think it starts with stopping the run.
And that's not going to be easy because Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league, bar none. He is unquestionably the top running back. And the thing that scares me a little bit, Damo, about this week's game is not only Christian McCaffrey when they hand him the ball, but with Christian McCaffrey when they throw him the ball. He's also one of the best receiving backs in the National Football League, which brings the linebackers' ability to cover and come up and make tackles. How you feeling about Christian on Christian crime this week? Christian Ellis trying to stop Christian McCaffrey.
You know, I mean, I think Christian Ellis is eventually going to be a pretty good player, but right now, you know, it's just he's not there yet. So no, I don't like that matchup very well at all. We'll see what happens. I mean, besides stopping the run, Jody, I mean, if they could put some pressure on Purdy this week, get in his face, maybe force a turnover or two, you know, that would help.
Yeah, with Christian, though, who is a good matchup? You know, you could have Nick Morrow, you can have Nakobe Dean, you could have Zach Cunningham. Who's a good matchup? I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit better than Christian Ellis. I think, Damo, and this is just my thought process. If I were Sean Desai, this is my big nickel week. I'm playing 3 safeties with Nick Morrow as the only linebacker. Part because Zach's not available, but part because, as I just mentioned, if you do stop Christian McCaffrey in the running game, you know, they're sort of like the Eagles at full strength. Well, you just go to the next guy, and it might be Debo, it might be George Kittle, it might be Brandon. They just move on to the next guy. So I think you need as many coverage players as possible, and that means it's also got to be a big Jordan Davis week when it comes to stopping that run.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how they use Byard this week. I mean, the 49ers are one of the few teams that are not only throwing one of the league's better tight ends at you, but also probably the best running back, most versatile running back in the league. That's a tough combination against a defense that can't protect the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Which is why, I'm real pessimistic about how this game's going to go. But then I thought they were going to play a complete game against Buffalo, and they needed overtime to win. So who knows?
And you take the win you got last week, because that very easily could have been a loss.
Yeah.
You mentioned turnovers. You're hoping for turnovers. You're banking on turnovers. Is this the week to do that? The 49ers are the number one team in plus minus in the National Football League at plus 11. The Eagles at -2 are in the bottom half of the National Football League in plus minus with turnovers. It just hasn't been a turnover type year for the Eagles. I know you can't coach that, and I don't think you can predict that. So you just cross your fingers and hope that the ball bounces the Eagles' way on Sunday?
I mean, the 49ers lost 3 games in a row somehow. I mean, I know they had some injuries back then, but
yeah, Trent and Debo. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're playing this week.
You just hope their pass rush catches fire, and maybe they have a few strip sacks or something like that. I'm not very hopeful of that happening, Jody. You're right. I mean, the numbers you quoted are frighteningly accurate.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to try to give you some optimism, Damo, and that's my whole is I'm far from the first to say it, but styles make bites, and the San Francisco offensive line, other than Trent Williams, isn't very good. It's not good. If there's one weakness on that team, that's it. And you could argue the 4 worst players they have on offense, and I don't even think it's much of an argument, are the other 4 offensive linemen. And they got to deal. So it might be a tough day, I've been saying, for Josh Sweat against Trent Williams. But everybody else, whether it's, Hassan Reddick's got to deal with Colton McKivitz and Jalen Carter with Aaron Banks and Spencer Burford and Jake Brendel. I mean, those are big advantages, Eagles. Whereas the Eagles' offensive line against the great San Francisco front, we've seen Lane Johnson deal with Nick Bosa and at least make things difficult for him. Jordan Mailata, tough work with Chase Young, but he can handle it. Landon Dickerson's tremendous. He can bully Javon a little bit. I think if you look at the fronts, I think from that standpoint, the Eagles are better equipped to deal with San Francisco than vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, Purdy's going to be getting the ball out quickly, just like every other team the Eagles have faced. So that's going to offset some of those mismatches on the line. I mean, my feeling is that the Eagles need the people that need to have a big game this week as far as line play is their defensive tackles, because the best way to get to Purdy, the best way to get to a quarterback that's getting the ball out quickly, or at least make him hold it a slight second longer, is that interior pass rush. Jalen Carter needs to have a big game. I didn't see the injury report yesterday, whether Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, I don't think Fletcher's going to play this week.
Yeah, see, that's not good. How about Milton Williams?
Milton's going to be be back. Milton's ready to go.
Jordan Davis needs to continue to have show the kind of speed he did on that rundown on Josh Allen last week, coming up the middle. So if they can do that, if they can put some pressure on him inside, they got a fighting chance. I agree with you on, styles make fights. So we'll see. I'm not going in overly optimistic aside from the home field advantage.
Well, I give you the one other advantage that the Eagles have, at least I think so. They can legitimately play the underdog card today. I know that they smacked the 49ers in the championship game in their house last year. Wasn't close. Yeah, they were down a quarterback, but the Eagles just beat the snot out of them. Know that they are 10-1 and the 49ers are only 8-3. Yeah, I'm a gambling guy, so I do look at the point spread, and it was just friggin' weird Sunday, Damo, because I'm on here on CBS till 10 o'clock at night, and they'll put the numbers up for the next Sunday. Most places, some places put them up 3 weeks in advance. You want to bet Eagles versus the Giants in Week 16? There are some places you can get a number on that right now, but most of them wait till the Sunday action is over and then put a number up for the Sunday thereafter. I saw one report on social media that said the Eagles were a 2.5-point underdog. I go, that can't be right. So I go to VegasInsider.com, which is a website I use. They give you 8, 9, 10 different outlets, and they're updated, and you can comparison shop and see who's putting what line out on whatever. And they had the Eagles as a 2-point favorite. I said, see, I knew this. By the next morning, it was back to San Francisco, minus 2.5. And it hasn't moved. If anything, it's ticked up to 3 in most places. Yeah. So they are a legitimate underdog this week. And you got to give the organization credit. Going back to 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, they played the underdog card real well in this town, Damo.
Oh, yeah. Get your dog masks out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. What, Damo, you've been around a long time in Philadelphia, much longer than me covering this team. But, what the hell happened to these people back in the day? I got people in the chat saying, well, the league doesn't think the Eagles are marketable. On the day after, they flexed them to Monday night, which, by the way, that went over well in the locker room. They got the 3 highest viewed games in the NFL this season, other than Thanksgiving. The 3 top games. All they do is put them in prime time. All we do is complain about it. We want 1 o'clock. The only person more upset than me about that game getting flexed Monday night to see that was Darius Slay. He was incensed. He said he's got he threw an MFer out there. He's got dad stuff to do. He's so mad at the league for changing stuff around. There are 425 windows. It's the game of the year every week, as I joked. What do you mean they're not marketable? The league thinks they're the most marketable right now. What happened? Why is this underdog mentality? And you're right, Nick's going to use it, and he wears it. They're never the underdog. This is the first time in forever. What were the last time they were the underdog?
This is an underdog city. I mean, it's just they were born. Everybody that was born in Philly was born with a chip on their shoulder. I don't know. I think the 60s and 70s, as far as the Eagles, kind of scarred everyone and made them perpetually, pessimistic and gloom and doom and thinking the world's out to get them. Every game, the officials are on the other team's payroll. The announcers.
How many? Yeah, NFL Films is in Mount Laurel. So many of the employees are Eagles fans. Now they moved that. It's amazing to me. It's amazing. Yeah.
Go figure. Yeah. But they'll use it. You're right. I mean, and well, they should.
Yeah.
And as John pointed out, I said, it's legit. A lot of times they got to create it. They have to reach. They have to fabricate to get to an underdog position. Oh, this week it's actually legit because the 49ers are a 2.5, 3-point favorite in this one. All right, Damo, I tried this last week, the MVP chant for Jalen Hurts. Al Morganti planted the seed in my brain on WIP on Sunday that there should be an MVP chant for Jalen Hurts because he had taken a lead in the betting markets. I know I lean too heavily on the betting markets, but it's actuality. And then he goes out and has the game. He has 5 touchdowns last week and did everything you'd want to see an MVP do. I said, there are 3 times you can cheer for him. If he pushes into the end zone, he did. If he throws an exciting pass downfield and they score a touchdown, he did. If he runs one in, not push, actually takes off a run, he did to win the damn game. So they had several chants to chant it. Chris Franklin told me here Monday that he actually heard some MVP chants. Now, I think Brock Purdy is a legit MVP candidate. I think that Jalen is the leader, and he's put some distance between himself with everybody else. But I think Purdy is in that group behind him. Mm-hmm. If he outplays Brock Purdy on Sunday and the Eagles are winning the game, Eagle fans have to do the MVP chant this week, do they not?
Oh yeah, sure. Realistically, right now, I think it's still a very crowded field. Purdy, McCaffrey, C.J. Stroud, Mahomes. I mean, you can go down the
Dak.
list.
Did you say Dak? Dak Prescott?
Dak, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, this is going to be one of the I think one of the closer and more spread out vote wise MVP ballotings in quite a while. I think if it continues this way, but I mean, yeah, I mean, Jalen certainly deserves to be considered for MVP. I mean, his importance in this team's success is, I mean, you just can't overstate it.
Yeah, and he's the leader right now, Jody. On
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
most of the betting line.
He's actually opened up a distance between him and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if the Eagles continue down this road and they keep winning games, he's going to be the MVP. There's no question about it. Now, if they start losing, if they lose this week and Brock Purdy plays well, if they lose next week and Dak plays well, then I think it reopens the conversation. But right now, he is the clear leader, I think, in the clubhouse. So another example of, nobody's crapping on Jalen Hurts. He's the leader. Now, I think people conflate certain, whether it be Chris Sims or somebody else, and, one person means everybody. It's just one person's opinion. And if you don't like one person's opinion, turn the page and go to the next person. And you'll probably get that opinion. But at P Damo, make sure you follow Paul on X, Twitter. Get it back to the game. Obviously, I think by the way you're talking, you're kind of leaning 49ers. But I'll say this, if there's one way the Eagles are going to win the game, or one way the 49ers are going to lose the game, give me one, or pick one. Give me one or the other. Why?
One reason they might win. I mean, finding a way to stop. If they can find a way to neutralize McCaffrey, it certainly gives them a fighting chance. That's a big ask from this defense, but who knows? I mean, they're 10-1. I mean, so I'm not.
I know it's amazing. We're sitting here. Woe is the Eagles. I mean, and they're playing at home. It is kind of amazing.
Exactly. As far as a reason that San Francisco, I mean, they can get a couple turnovers off the Eagles. That certainly helps. And if they can continue, the Eagles, if they put up the kind of third down numbers that Buffalo did last week, this game's not going to win.
That's what I've said. If they play the way they played in Kansas City, if they played the way they play against Buffalo, they're not winning this game. But they can play better. They are very capable of playing better. Than that.
And I'm sure that, I mean, Sean Desai knows what we know. I mean, he's watching the film, and he's looking for ways to correct that with the personnel he has. So, that's why, every week with him, it's interesting to see the adjustments he makes. Last 2 weeks, they started going with 6 and 7 man rushes. Hadn't done that all year. Had done it 8 times that they rushed with more than 5 people in the first 9 games. And it's been fairly successful, even though, they haven't had a lot of sacks the last 2 weeks, but they've gotten pressures. So I'm going to be interested to see how, he's had a week to kind of figure out come up with a solution against San Francisco. I'll be interested to see what it is.
Damo, last one for me, and I'm hoping it's a quasi-irrelevant question. I fear that it won't be, but I hope that it is. That the players on the field, the guys actually out there blocking and tackling and putting their physical well-being on the line, decide the game. But if it's not, if it's decided by coaching, if it's the coach who's going to make the right move at the right time and be in the right defense and call the right play, is actually, when the game is over and done with, a major contributing factor. Is there a coaching edge between these two teams?
Well, I mean, I think Kyle Shanahan may be the best offensive mind in the game. So I guess, to that degree. I mean, that's not a slight on Sean Desai. It tells you, about Shanahan.
But can I interject, Amo? I agree with you. I think he's the best play designer,
Yeah.
the best schemer, but I don't think he's a good game manager as a head coach.
Yeah.
I think he gets bogged down. I think that's where the Eagles have the edge with Nick Sirianni managing the actual game. I think Kyle gets lost at times because he's so hyper focused on the next great play call.
Yeah, that could be the case. That's why, that's why this team's 10-1. I mean, you look at matchups and things and you wonder how they're doing it. And yet they find a way. They come up with big plays when they need them. I mean, last week for the better part of 2 quarters and plus, I mean, that offense couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's a new ball game. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to this game more than any they've played this year, including the Kansas City game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
The game of the year this week.
and I'm okay with that. Yeah, it is the game of the year. You're right, until the next one. But that's what a season's all about. You have to have a game of the year in any given week. At the end of week one game was the game of the year. And it can change week 2, week 3, week 4.
There's only one game of the year. I'm a stickler. Only one.
When you have 12 of them, though, it kind of takes a lot out of you when you get to the playoffs. So, but that's why it's so difficult.
12, 18. There's 18 weeks in the season. There are 18 games of the year. Some weeks, well, not necessarily. Some weeks there are just no good games, so you have to go back a week or two.
But at the end of the year, when it's all said and done, you got to pick one.
Only one. Yeah. At the end of the year, yes. But up until you get to have a new game of the week every single year. All right, Domo, last thing. You don't have to give me a score if you want. You just have to tell me, are the Eagles going to be 11-1 after the game on Sunday, or are they going to be 10-2?
I'm going to say, I mean, they're going to be 10-2. Okay.
All right. If you're taking,
I hope it's close. And if it is, they got a fighter's chance. But yeah, I mean, they got the home field advantage. San Francisco looks like a team right now that can't be beaten at the moment.
They look like the best team. I agree with Damo there. They look like the best team.
They will come in here on Sunday, and they will be with a chip on their shoulder. It's a good game because both teams have a chip on their shoulder, and we'll see who gets to knock the chip off. And Damo, I can assure you, you won't be the only guy who's picking San Francisco to win this week. So thanks for hopping out with us today. We will get you up again next week. Enjoy your weekend, buddy.
You too. Take care, guys.
Paul Domowitch. Got to go to JAKIBsports.com to check out his package. He crunches numbers as well as anybody in the business.
Yeah, sorry about those third down numbers.
Yeah, they kind of do jump off the page, don't they, John?
There's so many there's so many things about this team you can't explain, and that's one of the big ones, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to deter from Paul Domowitch and probably Jody McDonald when I give my prediction before I get out of here.
And I know you need to get out of here, so if you want to go ahead and give us the prediction right now, go for it, big guy.
I'm going Eagles. I'm going Eagles until they lose one. And I know they lost to the Jets, but that was an anomaly, especially at Lincoln Financial Field. I think they're going to find a way. I talked about the advantage they have defensive front against 49ers offensive line. I think it's going to be a big Kevin Byard week. I think he's going to steal one at some point. I think he's going to generate a turnover. I think they're going to find a way. Why? Because they always find a way. And it's intangible. It's intangible. And I agree with Damo when I look at it logically, and I say San Francisco is the better team. But there's one team that's 10-1 and one team that's 8-3. The Eagles seem to find a way. It might even come down to what I just said. Nick Sirianni's a better game manager than Kyle Shanahan. We can go all the way back to the Super Bowl. They had that game won. All they had to do was run the football, kick a field goal, and they would have been Super Bowl champions in Atlanta. Didn't do it. Went in a different direction. Not the best game manager. Great play designer. Great schemer. It might be as simple as making a big mistake in a big situation late from the head coach, but intangibly, the Eagles are better. And their record proves they're better. And they've been doing historic things. So why is it going to stop this week?
So you've got the Eagles winning in
28-24.
28-24. So a relative, well, with these two teams, I'd call that a middling scoring game because they're both good enough offensively. They're tied for second most points in the league at 28. So you're holding the 49ers down under their average if you've got them scoring 24 points. Yeah. I think if the Eagles are going to win this game, they're going to have to win it just like they did last week. I think they're going to have to outscore the 49ers. I think 49ers are going to score on the Eagles defense. Can Jalen Hurts go off the way that he did last week? Maybe you do it a little bit more evenly spread over 60 minutes rather than as bad a first half and an unbelievable off-the-chart second half. Maybe it's a little more steady throughout the entire game, but I think at least one of these two teams is scoring in the 30s and the other one will be just below it. But I'll give my pick at the end of the show, and I got an hour left to go. McMullen, you're exiting stage left. Enjoyed the game on Sunday. People can catch John on the pregame show, the postgame show, and then, of course, back here with me Monday on Birds 365. J Mac, safe travels.
Thanks, Jody. Appreciate it.
John McMullen with me, Jody McDonald, here on Birds 365. We go from Mac and Mac to Mac and Mark. Mark Farzetta is going to jump in for Johnny Mac. We've got an hour left to play, including a visit from Mike Missinelli. We haven't had Mikey Miss up in a good couple of weeks, so we'll get Missinelli up for both preview and then post-game analysis.
Yeah, I'm going to miss Mike. Say hello. I don't like missing Mike, but yeah, big star power. Mark and Mike in the second hour.
We'll pass your regards on to Missinelli. All right, Mac and Mark coming back for hour number 2 of Birds 365.